Okay, the JMC Games again, bringing you a new deck profile. Got a request from one of our subscribers to do a Buster Blader deck. I actually like this deck. I considered building it, and by considering, I started to build it already. I would have brought it live to you with the cards, but I don't have all the cards yet, so I had to bring it to you on the GoPro app on the computer. So let's get started. I run one BLS because there's a lot of light and dark monsters that you can banish from the graveyard. But it's BLS. I mean, he goes with a lot of, well, actually I can't say he goes with a lot of decks, but I just like to run him. Anytime I can get a chance, I'll put him in there. I like to. Run one Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsman. I only run one because he's not really useful to you in the hand. I mean, you can still tribute and bring him out, but it's not really that great. You want him in the graveyard or on the field, because when he's on the graveyard or on the field, he becomes the Buster Blader. Then you can start attaching things to him. You could do the fusion summon. But while he's on the field, if a monster on the opponent's side is destroyed by card effect or by battle or anything that goes to the graveyard, you could take the monster, equip it to this card, and then once per turn you can send the monster equipped to this card to the graveyard, destroy all of the opponent's monsters with the same type. That's useful when you face like a pendulum deck or something. You can take out a lot of their cards that way, but he's still, I don't run him enough to do that, because normally when I put him out, I'm already coming out with something else like to bring. Two Buster Bladers. He gets a 500 attack for each dragon type monster on the field or in their graveyard. That's why I run a Buster Dragon. Buster Dragon, when you synchro into him, he turns all your opponent's monsters on the field to dragon types, so that really boosts him up a lot. I've had him to like 4600 already. Actually, probably more. But anyway, run two Skilled White Magicians. I like him for when he's on the field. I mean, if you look at all the spells that I run, he gets a counter for every spell card that's, well, your opponent does, not mine, but I'm just saying that a lot of people run spell cards. He gets a spell counter for each spell card played. Max 3. By attributing this card, when it gets 3 counters, you could summon one Buster Blader from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Great card to have, so that way you can get a Buster Blader out. I run two Prismas, only because Prisma will help you get the Buster Blader and like the fusion and stuff summon. Because you could discard a Buster Blader, he becomes a Buster Blader for the end of the turn, and it also lets you attach the attachments, which I'll go over to in a little bit with you. He turns out good. I like him running in the deck. Then these cards, let me tell you before we start, these little attachment cards, equip cards on here, they're the wrong name. This card is actually the Robot Buster. On here, he's an Arms Buster, or whatever he is. Yeah, Arms Buster. So I don't know why they're different names, but they are. Anyways, this is a good card. I like this one. He attaches to a Buster Blader, and all of your opponent's monsters cannot activate their effects. So spell trap cards that are already face up on your opponent's side cannot activate. Chances are, I mean, it stops like Cosmo Town, it'll stop the waterfront, it'll stop some other things that's there, which is great for just stopping that. But I could use him for sorry, I'll send him to the graveyard. I get 1000 attack, so it pushes your monster up just for the end of the turn. He's not a bad card, so I took him to 2. I mean, you use him once in a while. He's not a main 2, like a main go-to card. Run a Mathematician just so I can get him in the graveyard, the Destruction Swordsman. Run 3 again. He's got the wrong name. This guy is actually the Wizard Buster. Well, he's got a Wizard Buster in there, so just backwards. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Alright, another equip card. You can send this equip card to the graveyard, then target one Destruction Sword monster in your graveyard except this card and add it to your hand. That's great. That's what I could use it for if I'm not using it for the other equip card. It says, while this card is equipped to the monster, monsters in your opponent's graveyard cannot activate their effects. I love that effect. So chances are it depends on what I'm playing and how many opponent's monsters get their effects in the graveyard. I know a lot of cards that get their effects, like Cosmos runs some effects in the graveyard, Grados runs some effects in the graveyard. So this card is great to have attached to a Buster Blader, but also they could MST you and take the card out. So it just depends on what your game plan is to run that. 2 maxis just so I could draw, and I need these out in my hand. So maxis, of course. This is also one card that makes this deck run. Is a tuner, one of the main cards. So when it's normal summoned, oh sorry, let me get into the name. This one is Dragon Buster. So it says Companion of the Destruction. I don't know why again, but anyway, this one, when it's normal summon, you could add 1 Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, except for this card, which is great. So it lets you pick which cards you need, and depending on what you're going against, it's a huge advantage. Also, it has 2 effects. You're going to use 1 per turn. You could tribute this card, special summon 1 Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard. Example why I have this one in my graveyard, or any of these in my graveyard, is safer than your hand because you could always summon them. Second effect, when this card is in your graveyard, you could, if you control a Buster Blader, you could discard 1 Destruction Sword, special summon it. So I got a Buster Blader. Next turn, he's still on the field. I discard 1 of these. I grab him back, and I got my Synchro, or I go into a Fusion. But the card is still very good. Or I could tribute him again and grab another Buster Blader out of the graveyard. Two Busters on the field. Third card, again, I don't know if that's the right one. This one's a Wizard Buster. Actually, I lied, that's not the Wizard Buster, sorry. That one is the Dragon Buster. That is not the Dragon Buster. I think that's the Buster Whelp. I had that one wrong, so I have them in front of me, but I didn't have them in order, so that is my fault. This is the Buster Whelp. This is the Wizard Buster. Dragon Buster. Dang, these cards, I'm so off today. Anyways, you guys will know when you look at the cards. If you have it in front of you, you're building it. I'll go over the cards again at the end, just the name, so that way we can get these right. Okay, this card is also a good card. While this card is equipped to the monster, you can special summon this card. What that means is I equip it to a Buster Blader. Depending on what I want to do and how I want to play this, I can special summon him to the side of the Buster Blader because he's a dragon, he's a tuner. I could synchro into Buster Dragon. So that way all my opponent's monsters become dragons. I could also fusion summon. So very good card. I run 3 of him. I like him a lot. Also, he's got the other effect. While this card is equipped to your monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. So it stops them from synchroing, fusion, XYN. It stops them from everything. So also a great card. With this one right here, you can bring it back out. So you have him on the field, equip. He's already in the graveyard. Could you special summon him? You have him, equip him, discard him, bring it back out, equip him back to a Buster if you need to, and you stop the person from special summoning. Everything recycles itself, which is really good in this deck. Okay, run for spells. Run a 1-for-1 to get him out. Whoever I need to get out. So I run the Emblem of the Dragon Destroyer. Add 1 Buster Blader from your deck or your graveyard to your hand. It depends on what I want to do. Most of the time I like them in my graveyard. I might limit this down to but I get it on my deck, which is good. So I might not limit it. It's still good. I'll keep it just to pull them out of my deck so I can put them in my graveyard if I have to. Regeki, you know why. Rhoda, so I can get Prisma. Foolish, again to throw one of these guys in the graveyard. MST, just because you have to watch yourself. This is a fusion, and this is what's... I actually like this fusion card. It's kind of crazy. So, to get this guy, Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer, he requires a Buster Blader and 1 Dragon type monster. Don't care what it is, as long as it's a dragon, right? So, let's get back to this. This was crazy. So, fusion summon 1 monster that lists Buster Blader as material from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or either side of the field. What's that mean? Yes, I can steal a dragon type monster on my opponent's side of the field and fusion summon it as long as I have a Buster Blader out. Don't have to use my dragons. Don't have to use these guys. But it saves me, makes them mad. I think it's a good card. I like it just for the fact that I can steal their monster, and it shovels back into your hand. So if this card is in your graveyard, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard. Add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of the Destruction Swordsman fusion once per turn. So you can use both effects. So use it, throw it away, have it again, use it, and you're good. Actually, can't use it again. You use it and then throw it away, but you can get back to your hand for the next turn to pull out something else. Great card. Run 2 Twin Twisters. I kind of like this card. A lot of people don't like it yet. I like it. It's just 2 MSTs. So basically, I'm running 2, 4, 5 MSTs for the price of 3. Beta the Dragon Swordsman or Destruction Swordsman. I run 1. This one also shovels back into your hand. It's alright. Target up to 3 monsters with the same type in your opponent's graveyard. Banish them. That's pretty good. Just for the fact it lets you banish monsters, but it also, and if you do 1 Buster Blader monster or 1 Destruction Sword monster, you gains 500 attack for each monster. So you could essentially gain 1500 attack for your monster, but it only lasts to the end of the turn. So I only run 1, depending on what's the opponent's graveyard already. It does come in useful just for the fact that you could banish the monsters. So I like that. So once it's in the graveyard, you don't have to worry about drawing it again because you could just pull it back out of the graveyard. So that's what it says. I'll read that to you. This card is in the graveyard. You can discard 1 Destruction Sword, any one of these little guys, and if you do, you can only use this effect, or sorry, add this card to your hand. You can only use the effect once per turn. It's not a bad card. I like it. 1, I keep reshuffling it if I have to, because a lot of these, I mean, you could draw a dead hand and have a bunch of these, and you have some of these in your thing, just throw them away, get out of your hand. Destruction Sword Flash, these are my traps now. If you control 1 fusion monster, this Buster Blader as fusion material. Banish all monsters your opponent controls. When exactly 1 Buster Blader monster you control is targeted by a card or effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the effect, and if you do, destroy it. That is like a super soldier shield. That's going to save your Buster from a lot of damage if it targets your Buster, which is great, because a lot of cards will target your Buster, try to get him off because he's such a high attack. Especially if you have the Buster Dragon on there with him, he's up huge. But you also get to destroy your opponent's monsters. That's what it says if you control a fusion. So you have to control this guy, the Buster Blader Dragon Destroyer. He's very easy to get out, actually. He's not that hard. As long as you have this, you'll have one of these in your hand. And then you'll also have a Buster in your thing. Normal summon him, bring him on the field, or tribute him. Sorry, not normal, tribute, bring him. Hopefully you have somebody else to come in here. You have him, grab somebody out of the graveyard, have him out of the graveyard, boom, right into the destroyer. This one lets you control him, banish all monsters your opponent controls. So you clear the field out and you banish them. Nobody hits the graveyard, nobody gets their effect. You're safe for now. Alright, 1 bottomless, call the haunts just to bring out Buster Bladers just in case, or whoever I need to equip or do something with, and 1 solemn warning. I'm not trap heavy because I'm at 42 cards, as you can see, because everything relies on the equip cards and some of the spell cards to get everybody out. I am considering running probably more traps eventually. I'm not sure yet. I'll probably tweak this deck a little bit more, but right now as it runs, I think it runs fine. You can test it out. Run 2 of the Dragon Destroyers. Good card. I run Trish. Yes, you can get Trish out. It's not very easy, but you can get him out. Let me show you real quick. So he requires 1 tuner and 2 non-tuner monsters. Tuner, tuner, non-tuner, non-tuner. So he's a 9. There's 4, 4, 8, 9. So you have this in your hand, or actually normal summon him. You bring him, sword graveyard, so you can pull somebody out of the graveyard. Pull somebody like one of these guys out of the graveyard if you have to. So he helps you, he'll help you, he'll help you. Rhoda will bring him out. Hopefully you have him in your hand. I don't know. It's hard to get him out. It's not easy, but I'm saying you can, because he's a, I have a lot of 4s. He's a 4, so that's what I'm saying. You can pull him out of the graveyard. He's a 4, 4, 4. Mathematician can send some people to the graveyard for you if you need to, but again, I wouldn't recommend. It just depends on what you're playing. It depends on how you're going about it. So what's your game plan? I run a Scrap Dragon and I run 2 Buster Dragons, just for the fact that they're easy to get out and they help Buster Blader a lot by boosting up all the things. So we're playing against Pendulums. They special summon 4 Pendulums. You get 500 for each Dragon type monster on the field. And now you just had 510, 2000 plus his 4600. So now you got a beater. This guy is even better because you gain 1000 attack and 1000 defense for each dragon type monster your opponent controls. So he's already at 28. He'll be at 48, and then his defense will be up there at 45. It's just crazy because it could happen. I've had it happen where the opponents just control the monsters. I love the Buster Dragon just for that reason. They translate everything. Do not play him in attack. He is a defense monster. Keep him in defense so he can stay on the field and keep going. Okay, that's it for the Buster Blader deck. I like this deck. I'm still building it. When I build it, I may tweak it some more and see, and then I'll bring you a version of the live cards. I'm also building the Toon deck, which I had a request for that. The Toon deck will be out probably next week with the live cards because I built the Toon deck. I liked it a lot. So I built that deck because I'm going to run that at locals. We also have another deck coming for you, Dino Mist. My cousin put that one together. He's just tweaking a little bit more, and we're bringing that to you. We try to bring you all the decks. If you guys want decks and see how we tweak them and how we could run it, then just send a request in. Comment on the video, request what deck you want to see. And I mean, the more decks that you could view on YouTube or anything, it still helps you. I mean, I try not to run what everybody else runs. So I try to take out some things, and I try to make my decks affordable, because not everybody's going to spend $200, $300 on some decks. Because I've seen this deck run with Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is like a $70 card, and he's running like 2 of them. Right there, I mean, you're not going to run out and go buy Ghost Ogre unless you already have them. So I try to make my decks affordable for everyone to play. Alright, again, thanks for subscribing. Like, leave comments, let me know if you want any decks. I'll keep bringing them for you.